held August 6, 2021 at Tweah High School, which was highlighted on the library. At this time, we ask the entire audience to kindly stand with us as we have our silent prayer. In Jesus' name, please have a seat. I want to say thank you. Next on our agenda, we have Reverend Max, and this will be done by the representation from the MCSS, Mr. Tweah. He is the Director for Secondary Education at the MCSS.
Minister of Education, Professor D. Anthony, Deputy Ministers, Assistant Ministers, Ministers of Education, Minister of Gender, Social Development, grant provider, other ministers, government officials, principals, association, Parents Teachers Association, students, ladies and gentlemen. Sincere greetings from the office of the Superintendent and the Assistant Superintendent for Rural Representative Assistant, and pleased to use this medium to welcome you to the Tweah Memorial High School auditorium. Freshmen. Here I two present posts at the entrance. In case you want to go in the bathroom, it will help you to facilitate the process. Thank you. Secondly, let me on behalf of the 16th sincerely thank the grant provider that your grant was timely and it will go a long way to alleviate challenges the four high schools face from time to time. Thirdly, I want to make this appeal that the grant may also be extended to junior and elementary schools, as challenges also affect those levels. Again, welcome to Tweah High School, and ask God Almighty to protect all of us in our state. Thank you for coming.
The voice of Mr. Tweah. He is the Director for Secondary Education. He was here representing MCSS. Next on our agenda for today's program, we have opening statement that which will be done by Honorable Acting Deputy Minister of Education, Minister of Law. Morning.
Honorable Minister of Education. Honorable Piso Senator, Minister of Gender. All government officials, to our partners, members of our high table, everything to stay on all existing protocols. Today marks a very significant day for Liberia. Almost 4 years ago, this president, Dr. George Malongia, came into office. And one of the promises that he made to the Liberian people is to help transform the education sector. The program agenda for transformation has education as took over a team headed by one of my previous most dedicated public servant and educator, Professor Soni. We realized there were so many problems. And when you have many problems, you can't tackle all of them one time. So a conscious decision was made by the team that our first few years we will focus on performance. My period was last when it came to performing internationally, especially in the national exam. So our first 3 years we focused primarily on performance. And in the last 2 years, Liberia has gone from last, and now we are amongst the third and fourth key subject areas like math and English, which is significant for this country in 3 years. Today we come to launch another promise. We all understand that for young people to learn efficiently, the environment in which you learn has to be conducive. But because of the lack of resources over the years, we've had to go outside to find resources to help. Thank God we have partners that see things the way we see it. And the World Bank, under the IRISE project, saw it fit to work with the minister and his team to do this. I think for the first time since the 80s or the 70s, and Prof might be the one to say talk better, but I was young at that time. There have not been any major renovation of this magnitude across the country. Today we are launching a program to renovate all public schools throughout the public high schools throughout the Republic of Liberia. Tweah, Tweah, all 50 counties. Next year, this time, all high schools will look better than the private schools. And that's a significant promise made by this president and this government to the people of this country. We are not standing here today and telling you that it has been easy, nor are we saying that this is going to solve all the problems, but this is a major step in the right direction. Professor Soni, thank you for your leadership. It's under your stewardship we brought this boat this far. We want to thank the president in his wisdom in putting this team together, choosing our captain, understanding that education takes time to transform. It's not like roads. You can put out the road today, tomorrow you see. Some of the work that has been done in education now, the benefits will be reaped decades from now. So on behalf of our team and my boss will come together to put the icing on the cake. We are happy to be here today, working in close cooperation with the Ministry of Finance, the Minister Samuel Tweah, we call him the Exchequer, has been very, very, very dedicated to the process. The Minister of Gender is a partner in progress, and together we want to move the pendulum in a positive direction. We are not deterred by critics, nor are we discouraged by all the negative press that we get. Ultimately, the goal of this team, headed by this minister, this president, is to ensure that when we leave this stage, as Prof. always say, education will never be the same. It will be better, and today is proof that we are headed in the right direction. Thank you. God bless you.
Of the Deputy Minister of Education for Administration, Honorable Martin Dr. At this time on our agenda, we have the purpose of engagement. This will be done by Mr. Abraham E. Executive the IRISE project being coordinated. Mr. President, you are welcome.
Thank you, President. Professor D. Ansusoni, Honorable Minister of Education, Honorable Pisa Sirita, Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Honorable Latin Daton, Deputy Minister of Administration, Minister of Education, all of our other invited ministers who are still on their way, the Minister representing the Ministry of Public Works, the Deputy Minister for Economic Management, who is responsible for looking for funds for national development, Honorable Gosden Flomo, the Minister of Youth and Sport, who is also part of Pillar 1 of the EAPD, Honorable D. Zuka, the Minister in charge of letting the country know what the government is doing, the Minister of Information, Honorable Legend Reni, are all expected to be here very soon. So my honor to them and the honorable representative from this district, Honorable Jason Sibo, or the Board of Consolidated School System, from the superintendent and the rest of the stewards at that level, the Principals Association, the chair and every other representative of the PTA across our schools in the Republic, the local leadership of the New Crew Town, the governor of New Crew Town, represented by his vice governor here present, the rest of the project team, all of the assistant ministers from the Ministry of Education, especially before I forget and cause trouble, the Assistant Minister for Planning, Research and Development, who is the lead on this project, provides stewardship to us. Our distinguished students from all of the Morovia Consolidated School System and the rest of the school system in Morovia. The team in charge of managing the education system in Morovia, the County Education Officer, Honorable David Boakai, Second County Education Officer from Oswald County, Harrison Dawolo, DEOs, and every representative of the education system and the stakeholder, not forgetting our major donor, the World Bank. Ladies and gentlemen in Radio Land, good morning. I am pleased to be in your presence this morning to give you an understanding of why we are here. And basically, I just want to be very succinct in my speech by letting you know that we are here because the government of Liberia is doing a lot when it comes to improving the education system in Liberia, and the IRISE project is one of the leads on that. The project is called Improving Results in Secondary Education. That's how we got the acronym IRISE. Under this project, somebody will come to speak about the project in total. That's not what I'm here for. But one intervention we are doing under this project is the renovation of all public and community high schools across the length and breadth of Liberia. To do that, the funder that provided the grant to the government of Liberia said they want full citizens' participation in the process. Gone are the days where the center will plan everything and implement everything. The time has come where we allow the local community implement and give us a report so we can have real development affecting the life of the locals. So this intervention is a community empowerment approach. Today we are here to continue with such by engaging the citizens of the various counties, including Monserrado, as to what we are doing at the schools. And we allow the citizens to ask us questions in
in this hall, and even those that are listening to Radio Land, the announcement will be announced later. To also ask questions about this renovation, how it's going to be done, and we will answer all your questions. Our technical team here, the project team from procurement to finance to monitoring and evaluation, we all are here to answer every question asked here today. That's the essence of this citizens engagement. Without taking much of your time, I want to say I'm honored again to be in your presence, and let's allow the protocol to go as planned. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Mr. Abraham Azul, second the lead word for the last word. This time, we invite to this podium the Assistant Minister of Planning, Research and Development to give us the overview of the project, Honorable Dominic and Tweah. Minister, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Abraham Azul, for actually laying out the protocol. So kindly permit me to stand on that well laid out protocol that Abraham Azul and previous speakers, but with the recognition of our illustrious minister, Professor D. Ansusoti, and his counterpart in the implementation of Pillar 1 of the PAPD, Minister Piso Sedita, Minister of Gender, and our great Deputy Minister who have done extremely well to open this activity. I'm here to provide you the overview of the improving results in secondary education program, which is the IRISE program. Permit me to historicize a little so as to be able to bring you to an understanding and an appreciation of the kind of work that the Ministry of Education embarked upon immediately when giving the mantle of authority in 2018, particularly the minister and his team. Normally, he says, and we are 12, that we are the 11 players, and indeed he is our coach. So in 2018, when we took over, like the minister, deputy minister for administration said, we took over with huge challenges in the education sector, where before even we took over, there was this thing over the education sector that it was a mess. And how to clean up that mess has been the concentration of the minister and his team at the Ministry of Education. So we made a series of research, and not just research, but we also engaged the stakeholders in the education sector from a more broader perspective through what we call the National Education Summit. And all that was intended to help us understand and share what the issues and challenges are in education. And we realized that indeed there have been some intervention And since the minister wrote the history desk, 1967, when the multilateral was constructed, since 1967, there had been no intervention in senior secondary education. So because of that, we began to engage donors on how to intervene, not just in secondary education, but in all the different levels. And as God will have it, when we intervene and engage the World Bank, it was realized that there was an available amount of 25 million United States dollars. But this is it. That money was both grant and loan. Half of it was a grant and half of it was a loan. In the wisdom of this industrial leader, Professor T. Soli, taking over a government and having the president that met a huge economic challenge, how is it possible that we will be able to take a loan to support a service-oriented institution in government? How will that be possible? So we begin to engage the World Bank. And our engagement and our fixed proposal encouraged the World Bank to remove the loan aspect of the grant. And we had 12.5 million grant. They didn't just remove the loan, but they increased the grant from 12.5 million to 47 million. That's the reason why it is better to have a leader with passion, wisdom, knowledge, and everything it takes. I learned one word from him, the well-reader, to drive a particular sector. And that Professor Soli brings to the table. To change for 12.5 million, remove loan, and then go to 47 million. This is a signature project. And it is to achieve the vision of President George Manuel Weah, who is so passionate to achieve education. When that happened, in October, in fact, there was one of the grant when we received that increment that we put everything to bear to be able to ensure that we move through the processes and get it approved. Anyone who has done the process of World Bank, of getting World Bank grant or even loan, it's not a small process. It's a cumbersome process. But we took less than 6 months to be able to work, finalize the proposal. We were able to do the appraisal and take the negotiation and concluded the loan. The grant. In October of 2019, the government of the Republic of Liberia and the World Bank signed the 47 million grant to improve senior secondary education. The objective of the grant is to improve the quality and access to senior secondary education. That grant, like I said, is a signature project. Has over 5 components. district. So it is purely a community empowerment approach. This component, which is component 1, and this community empowerment approach, which is subcomponent 1.2, that talks about school expansion, rehabilitation, renovation, through community empowerment approach, is seeing that kind of huge renovation since the 80s. Under this component, the component 1, we are also improving access and learning environment. And let me just run you through some of the activities that we are doing on this project. This project, at the end of this project, after we've realized that since 1967, the Unamalo High School was constructed, which is called Mama. Since that time, that any Milo High School constructed. So calculate 1967, whenever it was born 1967, you already know right now. Today, so what we try to do on this project was to be able to establish what we call a national school infrastructure standard, a strategy. That national school infrastructure strategy sets the benchmark on how schools should be constructed in Nigeria. You all will bear me witness that anyone from anywhere will wake up and say, I want to construct a school. How? So the national school infrastructure strategy will guide that process for the construction of school from ECE, early childhood education, straight to senior secondary education. You know, there is this song I love so much. Let they have the blueprint and we will do the work. And because I love that song, the national school infrastructure strategy is a blueprint. So this project is not just developing a blueprint, but we want to be able to set an example of how to deliver on the blueprint. So the project has identified 3 populated counties and cities in Nigeria. We call it the KGT, Kakata, Bamba, and Ganta. To use the standards in the national school infrastructure strategy for the construction of secondary school to construct 3 modern secondary schools. So we're not going to presenting the strategies for Nigeria. We are setting an example of how a modern school should be like in this country since 1967 under the leadership of Professor Dawud Soli and the President of the Republic of Nigeria. In addition to the 156 school renovation and the construction of the 3 model schools, we also thought that there are districts in this country without senior secondary schools. So it creates a serious challenge for young people graduating from this district. They are constrained show the lack of guidance counselors in our school, which is required for a senior secondary school where parents has already reached a puberty age. So at church, the project will hire 200 guidance counselors and deploy them to every female guidance counselor. Let me clarify that, to deploy them to every senior secondary school in Liberia where the parents will be able to rely on to provide them guidance, even the male as well. The project will, as part of the improving the teachers, will send 30 non-degree holders from the University of Liberia and the Tubman University abroad so as to improve on their existing bachelor degree to improve a 2 master degree. And the project will build capacity of the Ministry of Education, and as well, the project is currently providing or has provided healthcare for all private schools in this country. So generally, this is about the improving results in secondary education. And I hope that as we do this community engagement, because from here we are hoping to also extend to Ganta, and we'll be going to Bassa, will be at the same time have a similar program so as to create the awareness of the community to take ownership of this project. Thank you very much, and hope and you can take the required ownership and move this project forward. God bless you.
The cause of Assistant Minister Honorable Dominic Fleming for Planning, Research and Development at the Ministry of Education, giving us a relevant overview of this engagement program. I want to say thank you so much, Minister. Right now, we want to just call the listing of the representation, student representation here today. We have Cynthia Carr. We also have Stephen Kofa, Global Community Leader. We have William Kofa, PTA Chair. We have Theophilus Joe. We have Women Leader, Patricia Ria. And we also have the Principal, Mr. Richard Kofa. These are the leaders. Those are the leaders with us here today. We just want to acknowledge that while we're on the radio. And we want you to understand that our private, Freedom FM, Truth FM, EMBC, Facebook, Ministry of Education, Facebook is telling us live on this topic. At this time, with our end of the day, we'll call on our Permanent Minister of Education, Professor B. Alton Suni, to give our message.
Thank you. The protocol is long. Therefore, you just allow me to deny and stand on the same protocol. Then we'll take a shorter time to discuss what we need to present to you this afternoon. What we talk about. Now we're standing. I need to recognize that Wilmetta, Yusuf, City, the Minister of Gender, Social Protection, Children and Social Protection. And right here to my right is representation in direct conversation with presidents, with other intellectual persons because of education. Education, in my mind, is the only equalizer of man. It's only education that subordinates your color and nobody else. It is because of what your head has in it that race will not matter with you because of your benefits in the rest of society. When this act does not contain the content that makes you relevant, then you and myself are just a man or woman. Many times we can easily be used. Many times we can easily be used. Only because this mind has a challenge. It is because of education that civilization has strived from yesterday to today. Education. There is nothing like it. Nothing. Even the wealthiest of men, wealthiest, who do not transition some of that wealth into their children, then that wealth is for others. Because most children will be tempted to dispose of those wealth in ways that the actual wealth holder would not have desired. But that wealth holder made a mistake. He counted on the tons of wealth and forgot the manager of the world. Folks, there is absolutely nothing on earth among men, equalized men, more than knowledge, skills, and integrity. And that's why we are here. This project that has been explained to you is intended for you, not for us. It's intended for you. Of course, you know and I know that the results of education come over time. A child who receives a very good early childhood education, the results are not manifested until 16 years later on. When that child is in college, or become a doctor 20 years later, or become a pastor 30 years later. This is the case. That's why we are here. And this person is keen on youth transition. This person should be an inspiration to all of you. This person, besides being young for his life history, should teach you that there is no point of giving up. No point. Not everyone will ever be at the same level on earth. Forget it, that will not happen. Not everyone of us will have the same opportunities in life. That will not happen. Every one of us have the opportunity to learn. Then when we learn, we are being competitive. When we are competitive, the best one will win. Folks, the challenge is yours, not ours. Our challenge is to make sure that you take advantage of the challenge to become who you should become. Nothing better than that, folks. Nothing. There are many of you who throw your hand very early. Oh, my father, so what? Pai God, oh, my mother. seen folks rise from nothing to something. I've seen folks rise and fall. This mind is yours and yours alone. In the absence of a developed mind, you are a tool that anybody can use. Because your thinking is left to somebody else. Only because you chose not to go the path of preparation. Folks, nobody told you that life is just on the plane. No. From the day you are conceived to the day you die or the day I die, there will be ups and downs. I got to be prepared for the ups and be prepared for the downs. Otherwise, I'm joyful during the ups, but I'm out during the downs. Not everything that only you alone God of. You got to make sure that you do not give up. That's my emphasis to you. Don't give up. Many of us don't want to make the sacrifices. And I want to speak to parents. All parents that are listening to me at this moment. Your children are your rubber farms and your cocoa farms and your diamond mines. If you don't invest in them, age will catch up with you. And when age catches up with you, with no plantations, with no investment, because you did not want to make any sacrifice, you always don't have anything at all. Then when you become 80 years, you are 40 days. When you become 60 years, you are 40 days. When you become 70 years, you are 40 days. And you can no longer work. Who cares about you? Somebody else's? No. If anybody else comes to your aid, they are doing so because of just being who they are. Stop the excuses and explaining, I don't have anything, but get up and find something. Without stealing and invest in your kids. You don't have a choice. The last time I was coming from Ganta, coming to Baba, I met 3 girls. 12, one is 14, the other one 9. They had dishes on their heads, following their grandmother to the farm in the morning. And the other students were in uniform. I actually got out of the car and asked them, why are you not in the school and the school is in the town? Oh, we get that. That suggests to me that you don't have anything then, you don't have anything now, you will get nothing later. Preparation to make you get something later, to change you from that place, from not having anything to somewhere where you will get something. You first prepare it. Folks, your parents can also do all they can. The decision to learn is yours, not theirs. They can set their lives to invest in you, but the decision to be somebody is yours. The teachers can do all the research. The decision to learn is yours. Many of you have become complacent too early. Complacent. You should not just necessarily be content with who you are. You want to rise, but don't be complacent. Complacency is evil. It's just staying where you are perpetually forever. You don't care whatever happens. And guess what? Age is no sympathy of back 10 years ago and see where you were. See that the same place you are now. You are transitioning. The first 30 years of your life, you must spend it to prepare for the second 30 years. If you don't prepare the first 30 years, the second 30 years will become a challenge for you. If you don't prepare for the second 30 years, the last phase of your life will be a challenge. I've seen many elderly folks in the street with goals and ask, why? Why is that? It doesn't make sense. This afternoon, while Liberia is being looked at favorably in terms of support for education, we have just recently, last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, gotten another grant of $5.6 million that we wrote documents for and got a GPE board to begin to invest in early childhood education in public schools. We have 752 high schools in the country, with the 156 are government schools. The others are private schools. So those kids that cannot afford to go to private school, don't continue. So when the government invests in the property like this, you can't destroy it. When the government invests in a place like this, the community needs to be involved, that people don't break into it and steal the stuff for your children. You must protect your children's interests. It is not government property. It is your property because you use it. Government is building. Where do you find government? Government gets here. Government is you. So when the government look your way and they invest in a facility for you, it's for your kids. I've been to more than 400 of the schools in this country. Almost 40 countries. And there are schools that have attended, just the ceiling is broken and nobody touches it because they're government schools. It doesn't make sense. One sheet of zinc which is 5,000 will leak, and that leakage will spoil the ceiling and the water runs down the wall. Because they're government school, nobody fixes it. That's nonsense. Excuse my language. The community, I know we don't have money, but you can pay for one sheet of zinc. It's not all the time that government will be coming, your country or aid. It doesn't make sense. Monies are difficult to come by. When you are privileged and some come your way, own it. It is from that perspective that the World Bank says, let the community be involved in the supervision of this project. Maybe when they are involved, they will own it. That's why they even have students to be part of the team. Because when they are involved in the development of it, they will own it. They will not say that government school. We have to forget about this language. Government. Government is the people. And every time investment comes your way, it's yours. Right? The occasion to encourage parents. I'm a parent. Conservative. From grandparents. I know what it means to sacrifice. Investment in children is a sacrifice. Whether they will pay attention to you or not, that's not your problem. Your problem is to invest in them. If they are 5 and don't care what happened, one of them will pay attention. You don't need more of one. Even if one comes to your age, that's good. I want to assure all of us who are in the center, the teachers, not minister a school well, the school breaks down. If a school principal does not minister a school well, the students go out of order. If a school principal does not minister the school well, the teachers don't teach their lessons. Because the principal, that title, headmaster, the headmaster title is removing gradually and we will see principals. The other way I know we're not doing very well. But we must see results. Teachers must stay in school now because they got government payroll and they get their money directly to their bank accounts. So they leave the place 2 weeks. Go do something else. That's nonsense. Frankly, that's stealing. It's not going to go to my pocket. If I pay you for 1 month and you stole 2 weeks from me with pioneers, but you a thief. You don't have to necessarily steal from my pocket. Or because I got my money, no. You have been worked for it. You have not earned it. Just as a thief who has not worked for my telephone takes it. So also, if you are not working for money and you receive it, you are a thief. I don't care how you define it. A thief. Thief. There's no difference. Taking anything that does not belong to you is a thief. I'm not going to teach us that. I want to make sure that all of us who are in that situation, I'm going to take my seat. The project is also going to provide a digital library. That digital library is called a smart box. Every information that a student needs from the first grade, PhD, is found on that platform. And fortunately, you don't need data. So that platform is connected directly to satellite, and you don't need anything at all but to access every secondary school that government owns. You will get 1 second. But you cannot mind it. Somebody can steal it. If the community don't help us to protect it, somebody will take the whole back because it says computer and walk away with it. If that happens, no one will come back. Because we're not replacing that with careless money. Ladies and gentlemen, ministers, we have a serious task. And this serious task, I can only do something. I'm a senior man now. I cannot continue this for my lifetime. It has to be a point to stop. But there are many young people who are coming after me who will take the handle and go forward. We want to make sure that while we are with them, we set the platform in a way that it is very reversible. So they can move on with it. God willing, that should happen. You are seniors now. We want to just, at the public honor also, on behalf of the President of Liberia, the rest of this country, extend special sympathy to 9 big persons who lost their life during the wire, went to administer wire in the southeastern part. So when this president talked about building roads, I've heard people saying that road will eat. That road will eat. This president talked about building roads. That the road will eat. Just see what happens. I'm just asking the president, with God's wisdom, you are directed, go on with it. We appreciate it all. By His grace, all shall go on. The project should begin effectively now. Before I sit down, I want to make this particular request. The money is coming directly to you. Don't be tempted, please. The bank account is the brother will be under your signature. It's the principal, PTA chair, student leadership, vehicle. Please deputy like this. I hope he remember that last comment. The money, we have to spend it for others. Don't be a friend. Because the people who manage this money don't win. You couldn't buy away much. And that's it. My God will hope that happen. So ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the President of Nigeria, the vision bearer, the one whose leadership in bringing these gifts from across the world, I want to say thank you to all of us who are participating and the students who are preparing to learn. By His grace, by the time the next 2 years are over, the model school that is being built, or the 3 model schools that are being built, there is nothing like it in this country. Nothing broken like it. Government High, when you see that model school, you will forget that Government High was built by Americans. We are building these 3 schools. That's all we can do now. Models, but the model school is special secondary school. That we have everything that everybody desires to learn. Enrollment will be competitive. You don't just come from Nigeria any kind of way. Even enrollment will be validated by your capacity to go to that place. It will become a school of envy. Only those who are not envious of others will start to go there because they're not envious, preparing themselves to be counted among those that others will envy because you are in that school. God bless you, folks. And this country will go on. They will move along. Thank you very much.
The voice of Professor B. Ansisoni, the Minister of Education, Republic of Nigeria, West Africa, giving us that special statement. At this time, we now, with our everyday, welcome to this podium, Minister Piso Selika, Minister of General Affairs, for a brief remark. Minister, you are welcome.
Good morning, everybody. What's the matter with November?
All right.
What's the matter with November?
All right.
Say so.
Everybody.
Yes, I think I'm just excited and happy to be here with you all, and I'm sure everybody's excited and from Sony, Minister Baton, all the other assistant ministers from the Ministry of Education here present, and other employees, able lieutenants, representation of other ministries, agencies, and commissions here present, representative of the district and of the borough of Newport. The MCSS leadership here present, representatives of Tweah, the leadership here, the PTA, the students. First of all, I just want to say that the assistant minister here, Mr. Dominic Kwame, I think it just proves to us that we are all students of Minister Sonny, because our chef, you're in cabinet. We are recognized that Sonny is one of our best I'm very grateful to have a president who's ready about the people, and he's very hands-on, and he's encouraged us, he's giving us the leeway to execute our mandate and to ensure that you, the people, really enjoy no matter what you need to enjoy as being a part of your nation. We are happy to be able to work with partners who repeatedly demonstrated unwavering interest in Liberia's progress for it. And so today we are here at this historic launching of the improving results in the secondary education project, the IRISE project. This is a project that I personally consider a major victory for Pillar 1, because it's not only a demonstration of the government's commitment to the full fulfillment of promises made in line with its official development policies. This launching also marks a brighter beginning for our challenged educational sector. So this year, I would like to give specific thanks to the Minister of Education, Professor Suni, and the World Bank for the level of hard work and dedication which has and will certainly relieve and at the same time boost the effectiveness of our educational sector. I understand that this project has a primary objective, and it is to improve equitable access to the quality of secondary education and address the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic also on the Liberian secondary education system, to include students and teachers. And we know that it's being launched now within this very crucial period in our country's history. And I mention the word crucial because I'm not just referring to the fact that our nation is at war with the deadly COVID-19 pandemic like it's all other nations around the world. We know that it has partially injured our economy and taken away the lifestyle of our citizens. I'm also stressing that the project comes at a time when our country has just begun to demonstrate tangible efforts to rebuild and restructure the various sectors in our society which was ravaged by the war and which we don't need attention even though we are years past. Since my own ascendancy as the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, I followed the public criticisms of the educational sector. Without a doubt, the sector has been constrained with challenges, but with the coming of a project that will see construction of 3 new senior high schools in Paul County, and Lima, to address the challenge of overcrowded classrooms in these counties, the elevation of junior high schools to the level of senior high schools in several educational districts, and the renovation and rehabilitation of over 150 public senior high schools across the country. We can safely say that this sector is on its way to recovery. But one of the other hard work has been done at the Ministry of Education, and this is again all across the country. It's not only here in Montserrat. We are only launching here in Montserrat because we have to have a place that we can say we're launching. We get continuously across the country. So it's happening all over. Now, in the sector where I work, it is clear that improvement in access to quality education and empowerment opportunities for women and girls is pivotal to achieving gender equality and drastically reducing global poverty. And this is something that is a fact. I'm grateful to our President, my boss, for leading other initiatives, including the declaration of tuition-free education for all universities and the appointment of women so girls can understand that they can aspire and attain power and placement within their own country. The launching of this program today is a testimony of the quality of leadership by His Excellency and through his own Lieutenant, Minister Suni. And we see that it continues to exemplify and also shows our President's quenchless desire to alleviate our people from the cause of poverty. Without education, you can really be anything you want to be in this world. I would like to call on you, Professor Suni, to dig deeper into other project opportunities that will provide empowerment for other young people in the area of Quebec. As I gave you my own briefing when I came back, after attending the Gender Equality Conference in Paris with the President, we're able to meet with UNESCO heads on that end. And I told you that I also pushed. I said, well, I express appreciation that this happens because Tweah offers the skill sets for the acquisition of much bigger jobs for our ambitious and youthful population to work and help expand our economy. So our women, girls, and young people, the launching of this project today is a deliberate attempt by the government of Liberia to test the degree of your own hunger for empowerment and your own passion for education. The structures that this program will provide and improve, and the new schools that will be built will offer a better opportunity for you to access and acquire quality education. The better and brighter future that you aspire for is certainly not just up for grabs. You need to work to earn it. As the government is doing her part, you can't just fold your hands and complain. What you need to do is also join. You need to seize this opportunity and acquire quality knowledge that will help you succeed in a society that will only become more competitive in the years to come. I can remember my mama and they say everybody high school, right? So now, right now, well, passionate degrees that they will go for masters, they go for PhD and all of that, depending on where you are. So imagine that, you have to push for it. I'm so happy on the announcement of the people guidance counselors. Definitely we want to see that happening. I know we had this discussion, we had a school incident, a school shooting incident, and this is part of what we're going to be used to having in the school. So thank you so much for putting forward on that and ensuring it happens. And we want to also say thanks for the initiative, the innovative initiative of trying to make sure girls are kept in school. One of the reasons why I mentioned the issue of the president doing tuition free at the university is because I know that there were a lot of times that girls said they could not go tertiary education, either they didn't have the money or they felt that they had to stick with somebody in order to go to school. Now the opportunity is there. Now with you all innovative pushing forward on scholarships for girls in the school, I want to say thanks again to the Ministry of Education. Like I was saying, the children know this. So our parents want to say thank you when you said it, thank you, right? Now we'll say thank you, right? Yeah, we're ready to say that. And then I want to just lastly land on ownership. It's very, very important that we take ownership, the top and I want to re-emphasize what he said. This project is for you, it's for the people, it's protected, it should be protected by the people around the country, wherever it is. That means the school administrators, the students, the PTA, or communities around these schools. Want to ensure that we are all watchdogs, meaning that nobody can sit by stealing one shovel and let it go. You're going to get up and bring it to the authority. Nothing can happen within that space that you all do not know, because it's important and you protect it because it brings positive energy for you, it brings opportunities for you, and you are the one to benefit from it. So let me close by urging you all to observe the COVID-19 protocols. Continue to wash your hands. I know it's hard for us as the way how we live in our society to do the real social distancing that we should do, but as much as we can follow on that, continue washing your hands and of course wearing the mask. I see you standing in front of me and your mask down. Put your mask on, madam. It's important. This will save. And then remember the vaccines are here. For those over 18 and above, make sure you go and get your vaccine if you haven't done it already. Encourage the people in your community, your elders, make sure everybody gets vaccinated because that helps a lot in this fight. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, my minister, for that wonderful remark. We appreciate it. At this time, with our further delay, we would like to this podium the representation from the minister. You can suppose the end of the presentation? Not yet. We go straight to the Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Finance and Development, Development. Good.
Thank you. We are grateful to the prof. You know, these are our prof. And when he talks about education, you can see the passion and how much he impacted. Because a lot of us who are now on the stage today still in that space. I would like to recognize the Minister of Gender, who is my own sister as well. Before she became minister, we worked together at some point in trying to set some agenda, and today we are all on the same agenda trying to move us forward. And also my fellow colleagues, Deputy Minister, Assistant Minister from Ministry of Education and other ministries that are represented. On behalf of Minister Tweah, I would like to say thank you to the team from the ministry and to the team from the World Bank and to all other stakeholders who are part of this project. We know that it is not easy for change to come. It is never easy for people to sit and get an idea on the paper and then move that idea into action. So there's been a lot of work behind the scenes, working, putting the ideas together under the instruction of His Excellency Dr. George Manenwia, our President of Liberia. And because of his commitment to changing our lives and adding value to what we have as a country, he's always motivated and pushed every minister and every member of the government to work in the interest of the people. And so in that line of work, we now have today the Ministry of Education launching one of the biggest projects in the education sector. So Minister Soni and your team, we are grateful for keeping the light of the President on. You know, when the minister was speaking, I picked up a number of key things he talked about. He talked about access, he talked about quality, he talked about, you know, the results that we get out of our commitment that we put into education. And I was reflecting and sitting in my seat and I said, yes, I have the same experience and I have opportunity, which are the assets, and I have opportunity to have gone to, you know, earn some of the little bit of quality. And because of that, today I'm able to make a contribution. So it is very important for all of us who have had the opportunity to go through these different stages, and today we are here making our contribution, to also continue to think about those who are in the process of making themselves. And this is where we are. Because with quality education, we know that we are able to acquire attitudes and skills that will help us to achieve our potential. And this is key. Attitudes and skills, of course, including knowledge. In our education systems today, as we heard the Assistant Minister introducing the project, there's been a lot of challenges. We all know that there's been a lot of challenges. But those challenges cannot keep being on the books if we all are committed and dedicated to moving. And that commitment is not only from the government. The commitment includes commitment from the parents, commitment from the teachers, commitment from you, the students, and commitment, of course, from us, the government, because we are driving the process. So quality education is something that we all have to work together in achieving. We cannot achieve quality education if we do not work together to tackle the challenges that we see in the education sector. And these are the challenges we are all trying to tackle. Quality education provides all of us the opportunity as a society, as a community, as a country, to also build ourselves in a way that allow us to live in a civilized world. And I want to call civilized world. In a civilized world, when people see developed situations or developed environments, they help to add to that development. In the civilized world, when you see development, you don't go to tear development down in the civilized world. Why? Because when the resources are already spent, you don't expect to come back again and spend the same resources in the same location. So the civilized world, you see them growing, you see them moving, you see them working and achieving what they achieve, because everyone who has gained quality education, who has added the knowledge, the skills, and now has the attitude, works to protect what they have gained and what they have built. It is also important to note that it provides us the opportunity as a people to continue to uphold the values and provide needs that our country want or must have. We cannot get quality education and then the reverse is happening. Our minds have to be transformed when we have quality education. Our attitudes have to be transformed when we have quality education. And it's important that as we work on these key issues of infrastructure, renovating, where you are, where you students are, where you the faculty are, and preparing the future of our country. As we work on these infrastructures to support quality and access, it is important for all of us to continue to hold and work together so that the results that we earn and we own jointly will live on even after us. It is also important that as we add value to issues around human development, that our faculty also challenge themselves. I think the challenge we've had I say that to my kids all the time. They come from school, you don't see them with books, you don't see them with reading, in the reading habits. They want to have more social time, they want to have more sports, they want to have more events. Those events are good. Those things are good. Even if the school is organizing them, they are good to help us to relax. But remember, the social time, the outing, all of those times can always come and will always come as long as you have life in you and you have built yourself. Do not forget the focus when you are in the journey of trying to acquire quality education and to build yourself for the future. It is important for us as faculty to mentor our students so that as we're talking infrastructure, we're talking teacher capacity building, we're talking about giving you good learning environments, libraries, teacher terms, and I'm just name them. All of these qualities we're trying to put into the education system. When we put them there, it can only be maintained by a team of qualified, competent, committed, dedicated faculty, teachers, and of course, students, so that our results will live on. As we close, we want to again thank the minister and his team for the work that they're doing. We from the Ministry of Finance, we will continue to provide a supporting role as we have always done. At Oak Cross, this is one of the projects that every time we have a conversation about, we want to see it moving. The project team, the project management team, we're encouraging you to push, to work, to ensure that the results come timely. And we also want to encourage you, the schools, to pull these results, to work along with the team, to make sure we have a system that all of us can own in and out of the ministry, that you can run your own operations, keeping the standards, keeping the qualities, making sure that the dream of the president, that the dream of the minister of education, that the dream of the minister of finance and all the other cabinet ministers, including Minister Tai, talking about gender, young people development, that we do those values so that we too can be competitive. So that we too can be competitive. We want to be more than Ghana, for example. We want to challenge ourselves and be more than students who are coming from those countries. They are not better than we are. They do not have different brains. Before I take my seat, I would say, I would say a little joke. That there was this white man, permit me to just use those illustrations. There was this white man and a black man. And when, there was a competition, they were talking about brains. They talk about the value of the brain at this time and age. So when they put the white man brain sold, the guy who was selling the brain charged the white man brain 50 cents. 50 cents. He charged the brain 50 cents. Then they came to the black man brain and they asked, the person asked for the black man brain. And the person who was selling the brains charged $2 million for the black man brain. $2 million. Then the buyer went and asked, white man brain, black man brain, and you charge the black man brain $2 million? And the seller said, yeah, you don't know. It's okay. Why? And the seller said, the white man brain has now depreciated. The black man brain is yet to be used. So the value is still stuck in it. So if you're looking for brain to make things work for you, I would encourage you to come for the brain that is yet to be used. So we have the opportunity to use the brain now that we have, so that value we have in there will show for ourselves and for our generation. Thank you very much.
I want to say a big thank you to Honorable Apostle Promo, Deputy Minister of Commonwealth Development Planning for Economic Affairs. I want to thank you. I appreciate your presence. At this time, we call on the Honorable Dixie Sibo.
Thank you so very much. I'd like to begin my remarks by asking you to join me as we remember two kids who were burned in a fire disaster just last night in our district. Let's pray for their families as they go through this period of grieving. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Today I'm excited to share this podium with two of my personal ministers. Minister Tweah calls me her personal and favorite representative.